Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. Our next guest has had a rabid fan base since his debut on Loveline, followed by The Man Show. He has a humongous podcast audience, and you can now see Adam Carolla in his new stand-up special, Not Taco Bell Material, which you can find right now on chassis.com, CHASSY.com. Let's take a look at the special.
I was trying to write the word eulogy the other day, and my phone just kept going like, we haven't found any substitutes. Spell check was a picture of a guy with his pockets pulled out going, I don't know. No one in my family knew what I was doing. They didn't have basic cable. Bad sign financially when you can't afford something that starts with the word basic. My wife was doing yoga in the house. My son decided to join in and then announced yoga was too dangerous for him. I understand he's gonna be gay. Like, I get it. I just hope he's a top. You know, a dad can dream, right? Can a dad dream?
Everybody, please welcome Adam Carolla.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Congrats on the special.
Thank you.
This is sort of a long time in the making, right? It's at least named after your best-selling book.
Yeah, I haven't done a stand-up. You know, I've done stand-up on and off for like my entire career, but I never did a special, and I think that was just sort of low self-esteem. Like, it literally, because it had the word special in it, I didn't think I could do it because the Carollas don't do things that are special. So it's like, I'd been doing podcasting and writing books and stand-up and
Radio,
making documentaries, basic cable, but the idea of stand-up special, I was like, well, that's what Sarah Silverman does, but not you. And at a certain point, I just went, screw it, let's make a special.
What do you think it was that inside of you made you think that you were so different from Sarah Silverman?
Well, I have a penis. Other than that, we're the same person. No, I looked at other comedians as comedians, and I looked at myself as sort of like a humorist or a commentator, or I would riff, but I didn't work out material. You know, I would hop on the air and complain about something and then move on to the next subject.
Like 4 sets at the Comedy Cellar every night, trying to like
hone material, craft it, repeat it. You know, I was sort of a late night radio show guy, then a morning radio show guy. And my job was to sort of commentate on life, but not to work material. And so I just sort of put myself into a box, and I didn't really let myself out of that box. And I realized whatever it is you're doing, all you have to do is start collecting the stuff you're talking about, put it in some sort of order, get up on stage and regurgitate it, and then you shall be a stand-up comedian.
Is this what you've told all of your stand-up friends as well?
Yes.
As I figured it out. I just take all the things I normally say. I say it on stage. It's easy.
Well, you know, it's weird. When I used to work for, I used to work on The Man Show. I didn't really work for it, I guess, because it was my show. But I used to always go into the writer's room, and I would say, don't be a joke warehouse. Be a joke factory. Don't collect jokes, produce them. Like, keep cranking them out. And I realized that's sort of what I did. I did radio every night, and I just cranked it out. But at some point, I realized you do also have to kind of curate those jokes. And you do have to be a warehouse factory, a joke factory, and a warehouse sort of simultaneously.
Right, so you're saying you were never holding on to them.
I wasn't. Like, people would say to me, oh, I love that bit you do on X, Y, or Z. And I'd go, I don't even know what you're talking about. And they'd go, your bit, your bit. And I go, it's not even a bit. I'm just talking about it. Now it's gone. And at a certain point, I thought, well, why not write it down and figure it out?
When did you start writing it down?
I had a situation in 2008, 2009, as the economy started taking a downturn. I have twins, and at the time they were about 2 years old. And all of a sudden I lost my radio job and everything. There were no more radio jobs. There were no more contracts. The whole sort of business was shifting, and gone were the days where you get these long-term lucrative radio contracts. That's what I was kind of used to, signing like multi-year deals with guaranteed money. And the station I was on flipped formats, and everything just kind of went away.
Unless you were like Rush Limbaugh or something.
Unless you were Rush Limbaugh, right. But would you really want to be Rush Limbaugh?
Oh, God, no.
So I was like, I don't know what to do. I have young twins. I have a pretty expensive lifestyle. And for the first time in 15 years, I don't have a radio contract. And nobody was knocking on the door or calling. And so it struck me that the way to make money would be live appearances. So like what happened to me and a lot of other comedians, I guess, is sort of like what happened to the music industry. So all of a sudden they weren't selling tons of albums and making money hand over fist. The way they could get paid is to go on the road and perform. And so I realized I could go out and perform and get paid, but I didn't have an act. So it struck me that we were getting offers from clubs and theaters like, come play our club or our theater. And I was like, okay, but I don't have anything to say. So I didn't tell them that. So it became pretty apparent to me pretty quickly, like I had to get an act together.
Did you feel like you had to figure out who you were on stage in front of an audience, or did you already have that? Loveline was shot in front of a studio audience, although those studio audiences are generally paid and very nice and forgiving of their hosts.
Yeah, a lot nicer in your audience. Look at these guys. Come on.
These are your fans.
Huh? So I had done tons of colleges with Dr. Drew when we did Loveline. I toured, and I'd been up on stage in front of 3,000 people a million times, but I still didn't have an act. It was just Q&A and working with Drew. And when you have a partner, you can kind of go back and forth and work off each other. So it quickly dawned on me that I needed to start putting together an act. And at the beginning, I didn't have anything. So we would just do what can't Adam complain about, like for the first half hour of the show. And I'd go yell out something, and someone would yell like puppies or, kittens or clouds or something. And I would try to figure out a way to complain about something that most people can't complain about. Eventually, as I was going from town to town to town, I started to like write stuff down and go, let's do this bit, let's open with that bit. And at a certain point, I just put an act together.
Do you find that you complain about a lot of things? Are you mostly a complainer in life?
Yes, I am, but only because I'm right. So what I do is I see things and I go, what are we doing? Like I'm from Los Angeles. Los Angeles has a whole bunch of red turn arrows, right, for turning left. So, and you have to kind of go with me on this one, but the signal will be green. The arrow to turn left will be red. There'll be no cars coming the other direction, and I want to turn left, but the arrow's red. I'll complain about it, and then somebody will tell me, oh, I live in Plentywood, Montana, and in Plentywood, Montana, the arrows just blink yellow, so you turn when it's safe. And I'm like, why don't we do that in Los Angeles? I don't get it, and then I get angry. So that's how it works.
Not to... I'd have no dog in this fight whatsoever about the stoplights, but do you think that the population difference of Los Angeles versus Plentywood, Montana, or whatever it was,
sure,
maybe has a factor in how the lights are different?
Hold on with your condescending tone. Obviously, there are almost 30% more people in Los Angeles than Plentywood, Montana. So says the census. What I'm saying is, whether it's New York City or whether it's DeKalb, Illinois, if the light is green and it's safe to turn left with a blinking yellow, why shouldn't you? The point is there's no cars coming the other direction, whether it's Plentywood or Hollywood. Ooh, you see what I did there? The point is,
We were working on that one together. We came to it.
We pounded out backstage. Either way, if it's safe to turn left, it's safe to turn left. I'm just saying, make them all blink. And those kinds of things upset me. So yes, I do complain a lot. But it's mostly because we're dumb. And we're inefficient. And we don't do things correctly. Like, sorry, back to Plentywood, Montana. I live in LA. There's tons of traffic, obviously. I've seen so many times the entire freeway is backed up because somebody got into a little bumper bender in the second lane, like literally just made contact and scraped the bumper. Now both parties are out of the car. They're standing in the middle of the freeway lane. They're exchanging information and possibly fluids, and they're holding up the entire freeway. If you go to other states, they have signs that says if it steers, it clears. Meaning if you get in a fender bender, get off the freeway. We don't do that in LA. We have the worst traffic in the world, and we're also stupid because nobody knows that if you get in a little fender bender, get off and exchange off the side.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's just simply because they're stupid, or are the shoulders smaller in LA? Is there an actual reason?
LA is one of the worst run cities on the planet. They have disdain for their constituency. They hate taxpayers, and they don't care.
Public transit situation in LA is a nightmare. It's insane.
The whole deal with them is they want to make money. If there's no money to be had, they don't care. The notion that people are standing in the middle of the freeway giving out their home address and exchanging numbers in the freeway in the middle lane, which is, by the way, the most dangerous thing you could do, not interested in that. There's no revenue to make from that. They could tell people to pull over if it steers, it clears. They don't do it. They have huge electric freeway signs. Yep. You ever see those in LA? Yeah. You know what they say?
What, drive safe?
They say click it or ticket. That's all they say. What percentage of people don't wear their seatbelts when they drive, and what percentage will be convinced by that electronic sign? And every single car made after 1973 has a chime and a light in the dash when your seatbelt's not on. So why would you possibly need to remind people with that sign? Obviously, you're stupid, or you have disdain for you're dumb. I mean, you're just dumb.
Reminding someone to put their seatbelt on right now is if you're a smoker and someone says, hey, you know that's bad for you. Like, of course I know that this is bad for me. Of course I know I should wear my seatbelt. I have chosen in this moment to not do that, to not care.
But it's even greater than that because you guys can't get in your car, start it up, and back down your driveway without this thing going off constantly. Smoking. You fly, I flew out here, every single flight. They go, this is a non-smoking flight.
That is a weird thing that we still do.
It's not, okay, fine, non-smoking. You said it, I heard it, we're done. Then they go, no smoking in the bathroom. I don't know why we have to pick parts of the plane. It's a non-smoking flight. No one ever goes and lights a spleef up in the bathroom and goes, you said the flight was, but not the bathroom. Like, it's a non-smoking flight. All right, that's what you said. Then they go, no smoking in the bathroom. And you go, okay. And then they go, tampering with, disabling, or destroying a bathroom smoke detectors. Again, why tampering with, disabling, and destroying? Why not just tampering with?
Or breaking. It's all the same thing.
If you're disabling or destroying, you're tampering. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do we need three? Tampering with, disabling. I always want to yell, we're done. You said no smoking. Then you said no smoking in the bathroom. Then you said tampering with, disabling, or destroying. We don't need all that. It's lawyer talk. It's all one big goddamn lawyer talk. The lawyers have taken over everything, and they're ruining our lives. Just say it's a non-smoking flight. We're done. But you can say, don't tamper with the smoke detector, which goes without saying, but why do we have disabling and destroying? It's nuts. We're stupid. We're a stupid society. Someone should bring this up. And by the way, they do correct this stuff eventually.
Yeah. I'm curious, we are in many ways an inefficient inefficiently run, inefficient society, sometimes stupid or entirely stupid, as you say. Do you ever, and I'm not doing this to you, but do you ever turn that in on yourself? I find so many of my insecurities I project onto the world, but then often I take a minute and I'm like, oh, I am also that way as well, and that's why I hate the world for being that way as well.
I do. I used to have this bit in my comedy, in my stand-up routine, that I don't think it's in the special, but yes, I do. Sometimes I do a thing where I go, "Oh, come on, relax." Like, what do you show? And then I come back, but then I end up getting angry again. And
I guess I worry. Do you ever feel like you're putting yourself on a pedestal sometimes?
what kind of pedestal?
That you're better and that you're smarter than.
Oh, I am. Well, no, I am smarter. Yeah, but it's only because most people are dumb. It's not just because I'm smart. Like, no, I figure things out faster than other people figure stuff out. All the stuff I complain about, they fix. They eventually fix. They're going to fix the red arrows. All people do is tweet me about stuff that I complained about 10 years ago that they're now doing. So, yes, I have insights, but it's not like I'm not Nostradamus. I just see something and it bothers me. And then I go, someone needs to fix this. And then 10 years later, because we're all human beings, they do fix it.
The Nostradamus of flight smoke detectors,
Yes.
Adam Carolla.
Yeah, I see things early.
Nostradamus of the mundane.
Yes, I'm annoyed by it. I see it, and then somebody eventually corrects it.
Do you, over the past few years, whether advertently or inadvertently, you've developed a fan base, a political fan base, right? It's leaned a little bit further to the right in some respects. I think some people still see you as fairly independent, as an independent libertarian thinker, even if you consider yourself that or not. Do you ever worry about how some of your jokes land in a much more political environment?
No, but I should, but I don't.
Well, for instance, in your special, and I didn't find your special to be political at all, but you have a joke about the LA homeless. And before you even got to your punchline, your audience cheered just for the notion of sending all of the homeless away. Now, the punchline was that you're sending them to Sochi to learn how to bobsled, and they're going to be on the Olympic team. That's the funny part.
Right.
But everybody got excited for the idea of shipping them off somewhere.
Yeah, I have thoughts, and my thoughts are comedic of nature. Sometimes there's a pragmatic side. Sometimes there's sort of a both. I try to combine them. The joke we're talking about is when you live in LA, you see homeless guys and they have the 5 or 6 shopping carts and they're pushing them up the canyon and dragging them down the other side. They're all day, every day, just pushing shopping carts. And I said every year in the Olympics, we get our ass kicked in the bobsled because we can't get that thing pushed. And I said, let's get the homeless guys on the bobsled team and they could get a good push and jump in. And so there's a sort of I also said we have tons of homeless in Los Angeles and tons of crime. Why don't we give the homeless people cop uniforms and then it'll look like we have a strong cop presence.
Right.
Right. And it's I don't know if it's making fun of homeless. It's a weird way of addressing it or trying to problem solve in a bizarre way. I don't ever think about who I'm offending or what might be. I just have what I think is funny.
Yeah.
And I say it not because I'm a hero or not because I'm bold, not because of anything. I just go, it's a weird concept to try to push forward, but I'll see if I can do this. I am not a hateful person. I'm not an anything person. I don't have any animus in my heart toward anybody, and thus I can make jokes about everybody. Like every once in a while, someone will go, oh, that's a racist joke. And I say, do you think if I really felt like I was racist, I'd make so many racist jokes? Like I would never make as many racist jokes as I make if I felt racist or thought I had one fiber in my being that was racist. I would stay away from it. It would feel weird to me. So I feel like
I have a joke in response to that.
Go ahead. I'm all ears.
Well, I think the priest probably says the same thing about, running the altar and everything. Do you think I would be a pedophile if I had to be around all these children all the time?
No, it's good. And you're totally right with this. What I'm saying is if the priest was the pedophile, he wouldn't joke about being a pedophile, is what I'm saying. Like, he wouldn't be like, hey, little Tommy's coming over to my house this weekend, and we're going to stay up late and drink the Jesus juice. Like, he wouldn't do that. So
Also doing a backtrack thing, I don't think that you're racist, and I did not think that your joke about sending the homeless population of LA to Sochi to learn how to bobsled was particularly offensive to the homeless. I thought it was a joke about the carriages and Sochi. I thought it was the response to that moment. I was wondering if the response sometimes, if it's the wrong response or if it's a response that you're not shooting for, makes you uncomfortable, especially a couple years after becoming a much more politically charged personality.
I just say what I say. Like, my feeling is, I mean, I know everyone says that. What I'm saying is I'm not interested in what other people think of what I say. I want to be funny. I want to make people think. I want to take my ideas and sort of put them in your head. And I have observations. And some of those observations aren't the greatest. I mean, sometimes there's a victim in my observations. There's a world where there are things that go on, and we don't like all those things. And I observe those things, and I will let you know those things. That's what a comedian does, or that's what a podcaster does, or that's what an author does in my world. So my feeling is I'm not here to govern myself, and I'm not here to figure out what other people want me to say. I'm just here to say what's in my head. And if it's funny, then I'm saying it. But by the way, I say horrible things about my kids, my wife, myself, my mom, my dad. You know, it's kind of an interesting thing when people are like, why are you picking on the Mexicans? Well, I pick on the Carollas. I pick on my mom. I mean, nobody's worse than me to my mom, my dad, my immediate family. I talk more smack about people in my life than I do about any race or any culture. So for me and myself, it's consistent.
I think it's a it's a weird byproduct of living in a highly politicized culture that we live in right now, where a joke, which is in some ways semi-innocent in the sense of how you're treating the homeless, I don't particularly think you are attacking the homeless in that joke, is responded to in a way as if you are attacking them. In the same way that when you say, I'm going to talk about the Mexicans now, it seems to me like some of the responses, if people are excited for you to attack them, not excited for the jokes or not waiting to laugh.
Well, I get what you're saying, and I think some of it, when you do stuff that's like off color or starting to stray into the PC or out of the world of the politically correct, I think I have found, and this is anecdotal, so I don't know, but if you go like, all right, I'm going to make a couple of jokes about the blacks or the Mexicans or whatever, people don't go, yeah, I hate Mexicans. They go, yeah, do your thing, like buck conventionality, like screw all the folks that are like, I'm the woke police. Like, so there's an interesting thing to divine, which is, are they cheering because they hate Mexicans, right, or are they cheering because they want you to do your own thing? Like, screw politically correct, screw the man, screw listening to everybody. You're comedians, say what you got to say. Like, I have found that when you start getting into it with a group or, a nationality or whatever you're talking about, people's response is more like, good, say your piece, you're a comedian, and less like, oh, I hate Mexicans, so tell me some jokes about Mexicans.
Or the catharsis of, oh, you get to say the thing that I don't feel comfortable saying in my workplace anymore, or something along those lines.
Right. So that's kind of, in a way, what comedy is starting to turn into, especially if you kind of buck this sort of trend of being woke or politically correct. They live a little vicariously through you and go, good, do your thing, or go get into trouble, like whatever it is, but do it.
I don't necessarily know what woke or PC means when it comes to comedy. I go to comedy shows all the time, and to me, Brooklyn comedy shows, New York comedy shows everywhere, no one is expecting anybody to be specifically woke or PC. They're expecting them to tell funny jokes, tell interesting jokes, have some sort of insight or introspection into an idea. And if you don't have that, then you might land in some shit that's going to piss somebody off. But for the most part, audiences are looking for insight and intelligence.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, and also just because you bring something up and there's some context doesn't mean it's an attack. Like, it's an interesting concept. Like, I'll tell you a sort of a joke, and we see we have some black folk here today, so I'll tell you black folk some stuff. And again, like, I don't know, this isn't like, oh, he's making fun of black people. Like, there's a bit I've been trying to work out, which is dominoes. Black people know how to play the game of dominoes. White people set up dominoes on their end and then knock them over and laugh like hyenas. But we don't actually physically play dominoes. And then people will go like, whoa, what are you making fun of black people? And I'm like, I'm not making fun of black people. I'm saying I'm making fun of white people, which is, do you guys know how to play dominoes? You do? Okay. You know how to play dominoes. All right, do you know how to play dominoes? You do? You're crapping on my joke. Are you married to a brother? I don't, where are you from? Okay, so all right, I don't know how that works. Any whiteys here know how to play dominoes? I don't know how to play dominoes either. I know how to set them up painstakingly.
I love that the first person you went to was like,
I know, she's from the damn Ukraine.
Stereotypes are wrong. I play domino.
Black folk know how to play the game of dominoes. Whitey sets them up on their edge for hours and then just knocks them over. And they go, ooh, it made my initials. And then 3 seconds later, it's all over and we set them up again. And I said, you know, there's a lot of racial division and whatnot going on out there. And if black folk could kind of reach across the aisle and teach white folks how to play dominoes, maybe there'd be some healing. And I promise this, if I ever come across some black folks and they're setting up chess pieces and then just knocking them down, I'll teach them how to play chess. Now, it's a joke. It's like, yes, it involves black people, but I'm not making fun of black people. I'm saying they know how to play a game and we just knock our dominoes over. So then sometimes the dangerous zone we're in is when you go, black people know how to play dominoes, and people go, whoa, watch out, be careful, watch out. And I go, I'm not saying anything. I'm saying they know how to play a game that we don't know how to play. Why is that hurtful? Or why like, be careful, like watch out. So that's a kind of dangerous area we're living in where you can't talk about differences or cultural differences, even if they're positive.
I have this argument with people a lot, but really, can you not? You just did. Everybody's fine.
No,
you might get a tweet later today from Flip Mart Dickface who's going to be like, "Hey, Adam, watch out what you say."
No, I just did.
What does that mean?
I just did. But what I'm saying is it was within a conversation, within a context, and like, here's an example kind of thing. Sure. If you're just standing up on stage and you go, black folk, they know how to play down, and people go like, whoa, slow down. Like, what's going on? Like, we sort of feathered our way into it and then laid it out. And I'm not saying that's an example of an egregious joke, but what I'm saying is we gave it a context and a setup. If you do that just standing on stage and put it out there in our new society, some people go like, oh, what? Hold on. What's going on? Like I was sitting at...
but isn't that also what you want to do when you're on stage with comedy?
I do.
Want people to go, hold on, what is this? And then you want to pull them back with something smart or a joke of some kind to let them know that you are intelligent and you're not just standing on a stage being like, this race is crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree. What I'm saying is some people say just stay away from the subject. Like, it's not worth bringing it up. Don't even get into that. And you go, why? I'm not making fun of black people. And they go, yeah, I know, but just take it easy. You know, like if I was going to do a set on, Seth Meyers show or something. And I don't do stand-up sets on late night shows, but if I was, and we went and prepped this and I put it through the segment producer, the segment producer would go, don't do the Domino's joke. And I'd go, why not? Why not? It's not making fun of anybody. Like, yeah, I know, but just let's not. Don't do it. So like I was at a...
But that has been the case with late night shows for decades. That is not an example of how our culture has become, overly PC in some way. Late night shows and network news shows or network comedy shows have always been filled with censorship and, unwilling to go to any sort of dangerous place, even seemingly minorly dangerous.
I agree. I think that a few years ago you could do a joke like that, and now if you brought up a culture, it wouldn't have to be black, could be Latin, Muslim. If you said something like, I got a Muslim joke, they just go, just don't do that. And that's kind of where we're at. And it's also kind of a weird thing where you just hear, sometimes people just hear trigger words,
right?
And they think, like I was at Pebble Beach. You guys know where Pebble Beach is?
Where's Pebble Beach?
It's in Southern California.
Right.
It's beautiful. It's on the coast. It's a whole bunch of... I go there and race a car at Laguna Seca every year. It's a big car week, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Vintage racing. I do a lot of car racing. Second story. But anyway.
You have a documentary about car racing.
I do have a documentary about Paul Newman's race cars, and I race Paul Newman's old race cars at Pebble Beach, at Laguna Seca. Anyway, at some point, it's a big car thing. It's basically Rich Whitey at its worst, and
just setting up dominoes and knocking them down,
man.
No idea how to play the game.
And we're sitting around this table at some point at a big swanky event, and everyone's drinking like mint juleps and stuff. And there's the guy with they wear the horrible loafers, like the guys they wear the burgundy loafers with the Ferrari tassel on it and the whole thing. I mean, it's obnoxious, right? And we're sitting around, and this guy's like, I had a Duesenberg, but I sold my Duesenberg and got a Lamborghini. And the other guy is like, I got a Maserati 5300, but I sold the 5300 to get a Ghibli Sport 4.9. And then the other guy is going, the old Maserati. And we're all sitting around like drinking these mint juleps. And I said, what's going on at this table? I said, I think this is what black people think white people do all day. And one of the chicks who's at the table went like, oh, no, like you can't say that. And I was like, no, I'm just making a joke. Like, I think this is what they think we do all day. And she's like, yeah, don't say that. And I was like, I'm making a joke at our expense. I'm making fun of us. And she's like, okay, enough said.
Yeah.
And she was like so strung out and so high strung and so like intense about it that I couldn't make a joke at our expense, essentially.
I find this, and I've gotten the rap cue so many times, but I just want to say, and I don't want to take the last word or anything, I find this all the time with people, and I don't find it to be necessarily any sort of new cultural rules. I find, like you said, most people aren't smart enough to apply the context to the situation. I have it with my dad all the time where he's like, I don't want to be PC with you. And I'm like, you're not even being PC or un-PC. You're just talking about the news. What are you saying right now? They actually just don't know what everything means.
I agree with what you're saying, but I think it's heightened now. I think it's at another level.
Everything is.
Yeah, the sensitivity and the whatever is heightened. That's all I'm saying. Yes, people don't understand. They don't get context. This young lady was like, oh, no. Okay, all right, don't make fun of black people. And I'm like, I'm not making fun of black people. I'm making fun of us. But okay, you said it again. Like it's a weird... It's kind of weird. It's also kind of sad.
I saw a woman respond to a school shooting where a kid a male kid leapt in front of his students and was shot and killed, and she responded, "Take that, feminists! I couldn't imagine like the men that you champion doing." It's like, what is the context for you to think that that is appropriate or that one has anything to do with the other? But everybody's minds are garbledy-gooked with social media and all the news headlines that they're reading. They can't apply context to everything. The smart people still do, and they're still okay with any kind of joke as long as it's well performed and set up and good.
I agree.
Sorry, I have gotten the rap queue a bunch of times, but chassis.com, you have not Taco Bell material. Your special is up. People can get the book, and you have some documentaries as well. I don't want to let you leave before we briefly touch on.
Well, we have the Newman racing doc. I have one called Uppity, which is the first black driver at Indy, Willie T. Ribbs, which is sort of
Is that up to watch right now? Is that going to be up soon?
They can see the trailer. It will be up soon. We are done with it. It's sort of the Jackie Robinson of race car drivers, which is a super interesting topic because most people don't know this fella. We're working on one that's for Mad Magazine. We're also working one with Cedric the Entertainer on memes and the whole story behind memes and how Cedric got involved with that as well. So if you go to Chassis, CHASSY, you can see this. You can get this at iTunes and Amazon as well, but you can also see all those other docs we're working on, as well as the 24-Hour War, which is Ford versus Ferrari at Le Mans, and it's a big movie that James Mangold is coming out with Christian Bale and Matt Damon in a few months about Ford, Ferrari, Le Mans 60s.
And you're affiliated with that movie? You're working on that movie?
I'm not working on it, but it's sort of loosely based on our documentary about the same subject.
Amazing. Everybody, please give a round of applause for Adam Carolla. It was fun.
Thank you.
That was fun, right?